Alrighty guys, we are down here at the bow and arrow shop in Lakeside, California. Definitely the best bow shop in the entire state, but probably one of the best shops in the country. So we're here today to shoot a flagship bow from Prime, Bowtech, and Pse, and kind of compare the three, have Bruce tell us a little bit about the tech side of the bow, and then me kind of feel out the bow and tell you how it feels for me as a shooter. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see which bow we like and fling some arrows downrange. Alrighty, so we're here with the man himself, owner of the bow and arrow shop, Bruce Marshall, and we got our first bow out the blocks. We got the new Bowtech solution. All the bows we're shooting today are 32-inch axle to axle. So Bruce is kind of going to break down some cool parts about this bow in particular before we send a few arrows downrange.
Great little bow for the guys that are looking for a short axle to axle but want the string angle, right? So everybody's wanting to go shorter for tree stands, for ground blinds, for whatever, but they're giving you big cams. So what I'm noticing is guys are getting away with a little bit more draw length on shorter bows now because you're not getting knock pinch, you're getting the string angle across your nose and lip. So if you want a kisser or a nose button, whatever, you're able to achieve it. Back in the day, short bow, small cam, it's, man, long draw, it's a disaster, right? You know you're gonna get knock pinch on it. But typical Bowtech, you gotta love it. Center pivot, flex guard, we all know that. The cam system, really cool. I can laser, and I think we covered a little bit of this last year. I can laser this back and forth just by screwing a screw. Really nice. Don't have to shim it, don't have to do anything. So for me as a tech, you as a shooter, it's a beautiful thing to have. Once again, they brought it back, smoother performance setting on here. You're getting about 10 feet per second, 9 feet per second going from smooth to performance setting. You're going to pick up a little bit more draw cycle on it. And you're going to notice a little less dwell. But for that guy that says, hey man, I feel the need for speed, flip a disc. The guy that says, hey, I'm older, I want some comfort in my shot, flip a disc. So it's kind of a cool little bow. But yeah, let's have some fun, man.
Yeah, let's shoot a couple downrange. I do actually really like that you have the performance and the comfort options. I usually shoot in comfort, but it's nice to know if I go hunt a bison or something, I can flip it and get an extra little bit of thump, which can come into handy. Yeah, I mean, as usual, just super. Are we in the smooth setting?
You are in comfort.
Yeah. I mean, as usual, classic Bowtech, just super good draw, great dwell. I'm gonna see how easy it is to cam over. See how hard I have to push forward.
They have an SS also, which is super smooth, but
yeah, I mean, you really have to almost try it.
It's kind of hinky, huh? It's like, oh man.
Over, you know.
And that's a big deal. I mean, how many times have you hunted elk and they stall up on you, or a mule deer that decides to stop and browse just as you go to full draw? So it's nice just to be able to lock out instead of holding all that pressure.
That's super important because, like you said, I mean, sometimes if you're in a tree stand or whatever, you get stuck in a draw for a minute, you know. So having a dwell like that and just a buttery smooth draw is super nice. And I believe all these bows are, what did you say, 29-inch, 65-pound draws?
No, they're going to be 32-inch. Oh, sorry, draw length. Yep, 29-inch, 65. Boom, all three of them. Okay. You know, once again, the bows are so fast. I'm having, it's weird. The last 3 or 4 bows I've sold, a couple of elites, or I'm sorry, primes, they've been 80-pounders. And I'm like, guys, why are you wanting to shoot 80 pounds?
Yeah.
And, it's just the need, I guess, man. But for me, the efficiencies, the accuracies, heavy FOC on the arrow, and you know this, you're gonna get all that penetration out of the proper building, transfer of energy to an arrow.
Especially if you have good shot placement, it's always gonna be key, so.
Big deal.
Alrighty guys, we are on to bow number 2. This is the Prime Nexus. Last year when we shot this video, I don't believe we shot a Prime. I think we shot an Elite, so that's a new one to the trio we're gonna be shooting today. I've always thought these split cams were kind of cool. Always looked to me like something that might kind of be breakable in the field, which makes me a little nervous. But from a balance standpoint, when I see people shoot these, it makes a lot of sense to me from like being stable side to side. So I'm gonna let Bruce get into that a little more and give us the pros and the cons.
Really impressive bow for me. This is a Nexus 2, because of course we're doing all 32-inch bows. So you kind of already touched bases on this cam. This cam's really cool, and what intrigues me about this cam system that they came up with, there's a lot going on here. So what I've noticed from all bow manufacturers, everybody's trying to get rid of cam link, right? That knock travel, blah blah. So Bowtech, you can do it with lasers, bring it back and forth for no cam link at draw or shot. Prime came out a long time ago. This is what they started with, is a sandwich cam essentially. So you're getting a yoke system off here, so you're getting no cam lead. Even pull off both sides of your harness system and then right up the gut on your pickup cable. Once again, flex guard, some cool tech on this that kind of intrigues my brain here. Also with this design to get rid of cam lead, you cannot torque this bow. So physically, when I pull this bow back and hit my anchor, I can take my hand and try to torque the shot, but it makes me snap that line. It has to, because you have this dual rail system. Flex guard here, the aluminum riser, something that they doted on, and it's actually a big deal. They hung a Jeep off this riser, right? This was, I think, 4 years ago, and it didn't cave. They hung this Jeep, and this is actually even a stiffer aluminum riser today. So stiffest riser in the industry. Another really cool tech is, it's the only bow manufacturer to put their grip centered riser. So as much as you have up here, you have down here, which gives you a lot of point on this bow. Really cool system. And if you notice, they picked it up with different size cams. So if you look at the top cam to bottom cam, smaller cam to bigger cam. And that's because they've centered the grip in here. It holds, it points, and it shoots. It's just an intriguing bow to me this year. A lot of cool tech, very short limbs. They hardly move, so you're getting a lot of efficiency out of it. And this bow, you can go into what I call bastard fives, right? So if you want a 55, a 65, a 75, or an 80, you can kind of get that. So it's kind of cool to be able to shoot maximum power.
Let's shoot this thing. I like this thing. I just, even the look and the feel, it just feels solid. It looks like you can switch out these grips too if you want.
And that's one of the things I didn't cover with you. So this grip, it's a NASA product, right? So I can't tell you exact temperature, but they froze this riser, I want to say 20 degrees below zero, and this was still 70 degrees to the touch. So this is an insulation grip, but the grip, the way it seats your hand, the positioning of it's just a real comfortable grip. But you're a hunter. I mean, how many times have you went to pick your icicle bow up in the middle of winter and you're like, oh, I don't want to hold this thing.
I mean, that might be the smoothest draw of the three we're going to shoot today. That thing's pretty butter.
What do you think of the back wall?
Back wall is crazy. This whole thing, I love the feel of this bow, honestly. I'm not a huge, like, 32, I like longer bows, but this thing feels really good. It does feel like the string angle on this one's maybe a little bit more pinched than the Bowtech. I don't know if that's just in my head or not, but it feels like it kind of comes back a little steeper. I don't know.
Good analogy, and the reason why is you have a shorter limb that's hardly moving, so it's giving you that little bit harder. I mean, someone you're drawing at 29, I'm at 29. I'd probably start kicking you on this bow into that 34.
Into the 34, which we're going to get to at some point as well. Yeah, I mean, that back wall just comes and sits. Again, let's check that little. That one has less of a dwell.
Good.
But I almost kind of like it.
No, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
So these stops, I can take these stops and give you whatever you want. If you want more, I can give you more. I can give you less. So I can really tune this to a guy that's shooting a thumb and wants that hard wall to pull through. I give you less. For that guy that says, hey, my shoulders are shot, I want to sit back into my shot and be comfortable, I give you a little more. So it's a really cool thing.
But yeah, I mean, the draw on this just comes back, it rolls in so smooth.
You see what I'm talking about on the point, the hold?
It holds amazing.
Something else I didn't cover on here, guys. From the day you buy this bow and register it under your name, you get a free string and cables every 2 years from the manufacturer for free. So that's a major, I mean, that's 100, and you figure a 5-piece system's 180 bucks for free. So
I gotta say, of these three bows so far, I really like them both, and they've set a pretty high bar, so let's hop into the third one. We are here with the third and final bow we're gonna do today in this comparison. We got the Pse Evo Evl 32. Again, these are all 32-inch bows, all 29-inch draws for me, and all 65 pounds. So we're on the last one. I know Pse did quite a bit to this new bow, and it was pretty popular online when it came out, so I'm gonna have Bruce tell us more about it.
EVL, this is probably the smoothest bow I've felt out of Bowtech, or I'm sorry, Pse as far as draw cycle goes. Once again, binary cams, harness system, but what's cool is they've tied this off so you can actually start twisting each individual cable for the harness. So if you want to eliminate cam length, if you need to do more, then you got to start moving shims around. Same roller guard system they have, 32-inch axle to axle. Very comfortable bow to me to shoot. They widened out the platform, or the pocket, if you will, for the limb. Give you a little bit bigger platform, which is going to give you a little less, in my eyes, horizontal torque.
Right.
Smooth on the grip, but just a smooth, dead bow. Really nice. A little bit of tech into this. I'm super happy they gave me, once again, as a mechanic, enough room to play here to get rid of camling. So everybody's trying to achieve it.
I also think it's kind of cool. I've seen a couple brands put these lower stabilizer mounts because you know, I always like to get my weight low on the bow, so that gives you an option to put stabilizer 1 or 2 spots, which is kind of neat. I've seen a couple brands do that this year, but like Bruce said, I like the wider limbs. Bowtech did that with the Revoltex I shoot now, and I just like that wide feel. It's probably why I like that Prime we shot so much, just because that split sandwich cam kind of gives you that same wide feel. So
stability.
Let's give her a go.
Yeah, buddy.
130 and 140.
Yeah, pretty butter for sure. See, I like the string angle on this one a lot. Like it almost feels like a 34 to me, even though it's a 32.
Right. And another thing we didn't cover, if you want that big dwell, I can give you, and PSC's done it for a couple of years now, I can move this draw stop, right? So you can get you 80, 85, or 90% let off. 90 is a little bit hinky for me. But yeah.
Let me give this dwell a try. Great draw on all 3. I mean, amazing. Oh yes, that's a little jumpier, but it's so the Bowtech, if we're talking just dwell, the Bowtech as they're set up now, like Bruce said, he can adjust them, but as we're shooting them today, Bowtech had definitely the most dwell. You almost had to kind of push her forward to go over, and then I'd say Prime is in the middle, and this one's probably got the least amount. But from a shooting aspect, a lot of times that actually makes you shoot better because it kind of forces you to stay back. So it kind of.
So it's real easy. What's cool about it, they make it so easy. All I gotta do is loosen that screw and go to middle or all the way back, and you got 90. 90 for me, man, it's a little bit more dump on the ass end, but it's kind of scary.
Yeah. All of them hold good. I mean, grouped them like within an inch with no sight. I mean, it's tough to say. I love all these bows. I think nowadays, I think Bruce would agree with this, pretty much any major bow brand, like all the bows have gotten so good that you can't really go wrong. It's just about like a personal feel. So cruise into the bow shop and shoot.
Well, balance too, right? Everybody thinks, oh man, it's got to have that name or it's got to have that platform, but I agree with you 100%. I think there's so much tech in the bows nowadays, it's ridiculous, right? But I think that there's some things on certain bows that shine, and I'm looking at it through a different set of eyes. You know, I get the guys that come in, which is cool, man, and close their eyes, and everything's just got to be about the feel of the bow. And I try to tell guys, don't just buy a bow off one thing. If you're leaving 5 things on the table just because it's dead on shot or whatever it might be, dude, don't buy it for one thing when you have 5 other high-end things that a mechanic can do on this. You know, what upsets me is there's certain bows out there, it's like, all right, man, I can start moving your center shot and knock point, but I can't do anything with your cams, or I can't do this, or I can't do this. And it's like, dude, I want to start geeking and nerding out on a bow for you as a shooter, right?
Sure,
I mean, if I can hand torque, if I can take your groups from here to here at 100, just by doing blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's a huge benefit, right?
So as you can see, if this video doesn't make it pretty clear, this guy knows a lot about bows and is always kind of geeking out and knows everything there is to know about setting them up and getting you the bow that's going to fit best or helping you to decide. So if you want to get into archery, you want to get your first bow, come into the bow and arrow shop. If you've shot forever, come into the bow and arrow shop, shoot these new bows, and maybe walk out with one. I personally liked them all. It's really hard for me to say. Last time we did this, it was pretty easy for me to give a 1, 2, 3. This time, it's pretty tough. These are all good bows, so it just comes down to personal preference. But come on into the shop, shoot the bows, and we'll be back in a month or 2 with another version of this video with the longer 34-inch bows. So,
or maybe a couple weeks, a month or 2, man. That's a long time.
Maybe a couple weeks. So anyways, thanks guys for watching. Like and subscribe. Come to the bow shop.
See you guys.